Adopted a boy who had been absent his whole life, and my mill refused to accept him, because he was black and not her real grandchild, so she secretly told him he had to wait until the real family ate first before he could have any food. Okay Reddit, I need your help. My mother-in-law doesn't like my child, and I feel like I need to do something about it because it hurts to see the way she treats my kid. Let me explain a little about how we got here. For a very long time, my husband and I tried to have children of our own. We hoped and prayed, went through many ups and downs, and spent years feeling heartbroken because it just wasn't happening for us. It was a very painful time in our lives. We always imagined having a baby together, and it was hard to let go of that dream. But after a while, we came to accept that maybe God had a different plan for us. Instead of continuing to chase something that wasn't working, we decided to open our hearts in another way. We chose to become foster parents. We realized there are so many children in the world who don't have a safe or loving home. Some of them have been through really hard things, and their birth parents, for whatever reason, can't take care of them. We wanted to be there for those kids, to give them love, stability, and a family where they feel wanted and safe. Last year, we welcomed a 6-year-old boy named Simon into our home. His story was heartbreaking. He had come from a deeply abusive household. His parents were addicted to Dr. G's, and sadly, they would hurt him both physically and emotionally. He went through things no child should ever have to face. It breaks my heart just thinking about what he endured. Thankfully, someone in their neighborhood noticed what was happening and had the courage to call Child Protective Services. Because of that, Simon was finally taken out of that terrible situation. When CPS reached out to us about Simon, my husband and I didn't even hesitate. We had cared for other children from abusive homes before, so we understood the kind of love, patience, and support Simon would need to begin healing. We knew this wouldn't be easy, but we were ready. More than anything, we just wanted him to feel safe, to feel that he was finally in a place where he would be treated with kindness and care. At first, Simon didn't trust us at all. He was very scared, especially of my husband. You see, Simon's own father had been very violent toward him, so he believed that maybe all men were going to hurt him the same way. It was heartbreaking to see how scared he was. Simon was also afraid of loud noises, and whenever he made a mistake, even a small one, he would freeze completely, like he was waiting for us to yell at him or punish him. It was clear that he had lived in a place where love and safety didn't exist. Every time I saw him like this, my heart would break. I would sit with him, hold his hand, and gently tell him over and over again that it was okay to be a kid, that everyone makes mistakes sometimes, and that no one in our home would ever shout at him or hurt him. I wanted him to know that this was a safe place, where he could be himself without fear. It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. But slowly, little by little, Simon started to open up. He began to trust us more, and his fear started to fade. It took a lot of patience, love, and time, but seeing him start to relax and smile made every moment worth it. My husband and I made sure Simon got all the help he needed. We took him to therapy together and stayed involved in his care every step of the way. We wanted to give him all the support he needed to heal from the pain he had been through. As time went on, and his biological parents never came back to claim him, something beautiful happened. Both of us began to fall deeply in love with Simon. He is such a bright, sweet, and kind-hearted child. One of the most special moments for me was the first time Simon called me Mama. It was completely his choice, and when he said it, my heart felt like it might burst with happiness. Later, he told me that he said that because he felt so safe and loved with me, just like a child feels with their own mother. Hearing those words from him made me feel so honored and grateful to be part of his life. It was a sign that he truly trusted me and that we were becoming a real family. Over time, Simon began to express that he wanted to live with us permanently, instead of going back to his biological parents. My husband and I both knew right away that we could give Simon a much better and safer life than what he had known with his biological family. It was clear to us that he truly belonged with us. Fortunately, Simon's birth parents didn't fight against it. After a few months of paperwork, meetings, and court visits, the day finally came when Simon officially became a part of our family. It was such an emotional day for all of us. Simon cried as he hugged both me and my husband tightly. Through his tears, he thanked us again and again for taking him in and loving him as our own. But we told him that we were in fact the lucky ones to have him. We told Simon how thankful we were that he had come into our lives and how much he had changed us for the better. Since that day, the three of us have been very happy together. He has completed our family in a way I never thought possible, and honestly, I can't imagine a single day without him. Most of our family and friends have welcomed Simon with open arms, and they love him just as much as we do. But there is one person who has never accepted him, my mother-in-law. She has always been difficult when it comes to Simon. Back when my husband and I were struggling with fertility problems, she would often make hurtful comments, telling us to keep trying as if it was just about effort, without understanding how painful it was for us. Then, when we had made the decision to become foster parents, she didn't support us either. She kept saying things like fostering children would never fulfill us because those kids would never be our real children. Even though my mother-in-law doesn't approve of our choices, my husband and I have always stood firm in doing what we believe is right for our family. We have never let her negativity stop us from loving and caring for Simon the way he deserves. But since she can't direct her frustration at us openly, it seems like she takes it out on Simon instead. I first really noticed this during a big celebration we held to officially welcome Simon into our family. We invited all our friends and relatives to join us and share in the joy. When my mother-in-law arrived, she didn't say a single congratulation to us or Simon. Instead, she kept giving Simon cold, sideways looks that made everyone uncomfortable. Then, to make things even worse, she pulled my husband aside and told him that we shouldn't have adopted a black kid and warned him that people are going to talk negatively about this a lot. My husband immediately shut her down and reminded her to never speak about our son that way. She kept her mouth shut after that, but never once did she talk to Simon even though other relatives were keen to get to know him. The second upsetting incident happened during Simon's birthday party recently. Almost everyone who came brought gifts for Simon, friends, family, neighbors, everyone except my mother-in-law. I still don't understand why she even came to his party if she wasn't planning to bring him anything. I was worried that Simon would notice and feel hurt, so I wanted to handle it quietly and carefully. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I asked my husband to talk to her about it. But instead of having a calm conversation, my mother-in-law reacted very loudly and dramatically. She started yelling at my husband, saying he had no right to ask her to leave. She claimed that we were putting Simon's feelings above hers and made it seem like her showing up without a gift wasn't a big deal. It was really frustrating and sad to watch her act like that, especially at a time that should have been full of joy and celebration for Simon. When some of our other relatives spoke up and called my mother-in-law out for her behavior, telling her how disrespectful she was being toward us and especially toward Simon, she just got louder. She started shouting that Simon should be lucky to even be part of our family. She said that having us in his life should be gift enough for him. Hearing her say such awful things was too much for me. I couldn't let Simon be around that kind of negativity, especially on his birthday. So, I quietly took Simon by the hand and walked out of the party with him. I wanted to protect him from hearing any more of her hurtful words. To make the day better, we went out for ice cream together. It was just the two of us, and I wanted to make sure Simon felt loved and safe, far away from all the tension. Simon and I ended up having a really nice time, just the two of us. We went out for ice cream and shared some laughs, which helped me see how strong and resilient he is, even after everything he's been through. When we finally came back to the party house, everyone else had already left. My husband came over to us and apologized deeply for the hurtful things his mother had said about Simon. He told me that after we left, he had stood up to his mother firmly. He had actually kicked her out of the party and even threatened to cut off all contact with her if she didn't respect us and Simon. He made it absolutely clear to her that for both of us, Simon will always come first, no matter what. Since the birthday party, my mother-in-law has been sending us many text messages, complaining about how disrespectful she thinks we were to her during the celebration. She keeps saying that we treated her unfairly. But my husband and I have stood firm and made it very clear to her that Simon means everything to us. At the end of the day, Simon is our child, and we will always put his well-being first. So, Ida? Update 1, clarifying a few things here. Please don't blame my husband for all of this. He has always been very protective of Simon and me. He doesn't at all tolerate his mother's disrespect. After the birthday party incident, he has been furious at her, and he even asked her to leave the party when she was being hurtful. He supports me completely in standing up for Simon. For people asking if my mother-in-law's attitude has affected Simon, well, we try our best to shield Simon from her negativity. It's been difficult at times, but we always put Simon's feelings first. He is still young, so he doesn't fully understand everything that's going on, but he can definitely sense when people are upset or angry. That's why we work hard to keep him away from any arguments or harsh words, and we make sure he feels loved, safe, and supported every single day. Right now, we're focused on protecting Simon and maintaining a peaceful, loving home for him. We've set clear boundaries with Mill, and if she can't respect those, we're prepared to limit contact. We don't care how hurt she is because our priority is Simon's well-being and happiness above everything else. Update 2, it's been about 2 months since my last update, and a lot has happened since Simon's birthday party. After that difficult day, my husband and I decided to reduce our contact with my mother-in-law. We made it very clear to her that we weren't going to let things go unless she sincerely apologized for how she treated Simon and us. We wanted to protect our family and show that disrespect would not be accepted. After a few days of tension and silence, something changed. My mother-in-law came to our house and offered a formal apology. I was genuinely surprised but also very happy to see her take that important step forward. During the visit, she explained that in her generation, adoption wasn't something people commonly did or talked about. Because of that, she had always thought of adoption as something strange or foreign. But since then, she had spoken with some of our relatives and noticed how happy Simon made all of us. She told us that seeing the love and joy in our family helped her put aside her old feelings. She even took the time to do some research on adoption, trying to understand it better and learn more about what it really means. She told us that she now had a better understanding of what we had done by adopting Simon. She said she felt happy that Simon was part of our lives instead of staying with his biological family, where he would have continued to suffer. Hearing her say this was a surprise to both my husband and me because it felt like a real change in her heart and attitude. That same afternoon, she spent some quiet, meaningful time getting to know Simon. They talked, laughed, and shared moments that felt genuine and warm. When she finally left, Simon told us how happy he was to have spent quality time with his grandma. It was wonderful to see Simon feel that connection, and it gave us hope that maybe, with time, their relationship could grow stronger and more positive. Ever since that day, my mother-in-law has been making a real effort to include Simon in family life. She now invites him to her place every other Sunday for a movie night with all the other grandchildren. All the cousins gather at Grandma's place, watch their favorite movies together, and share snacks and laughter. My husband and I feel very grateful and happy that she has chosen to include Simon in these family traditions. It means a lot to us to see him being accepted and loved by his extended family. Simon, too, always looks forward to those Sundays. He enjoys spending the day with his grandma and cousins, and it's clear from his smile and excitement that he feels happy and safe. After everything we've been through, I am starting to believe that my mother-in-law has finally accepted Simon as part of the family. It's a wonderful step forward, and it gives me hope for our future. Update 3, it's been a few weeks since my last update and this is going to be a very ugly and sad update. This week, we were invited by my husband's brother to his child's birthday party. Simon was super excited to see and play with his cousins, and my husband and I felt really happy and grateful that everyone has welcomed Simon so warmly and accepted him as one of our own. After the birthday cake was cut and everyone started enjoying their slices, I noticed Simon sitting quietly by himself, looking a little sad. I went over to him and got him a piece of the chocolate cake, his favorite, and asked if he was okay. Simon looked up at me and said he didn't want the cake. When I asked why, he told me that he couldn't have the cake until everyone else had their piece first. I was really surprised when Simon said that, so I sat down right next to him to talk quietly. I gently reminded him that he didn't have to worry about everyone else first. I told him that he's just a child, and it's okay for him to enjoy the cake and have as much as he wants. After all, there was plenty of cake for everyone there, no one would be left without some. I wanted him to know that he deserved to feel happy and included, just like anyone else at the party. But then Simon looked at me with a serious face and said, "Grandma won't like that." I asked him to explain what he meant because I was curious and also a little worried. Simon told me that his grandma had said something to him that really hurt my heart. She had told him that since he was an adoptive kid and not truly part of the family, he needed to wait and let the real family have the food first. I was completely frozen for a moment and asked Simon to explain exactly what Grandma had told him. Simon looked down for a moment and then told me that Grandma had said he was lucky to be adopted by our family, and that if he wanted us to keep loving him, he had to remember that he would always come last compared to his cousins, who were their parents' real children. Simon added that she would also tell him how he needed to be patient and wait until all the other kids had taken their plate first, and then he could have some from whatever was left. This is why he had not eaten the cake yet, thinking this is the rule he had to follow everywhere. I was shocked, and my eyes widened as I tried to take in what Simon was telling me. I asked him when his grandma had said all these things to him. I had no idea about this. Simon explained that she had been telling him this over and over, every time he went to her house to spend time with his cousins and be with her. I couldn't believe that Mill had been speaking in such a demeaning way to my son, words that should never be spoken by any grandparent. At that moment, my hands started shaking with anger. I couldn't believe that someone so close to us, my own mother-in-law, had been quietly planting these harmful ideas in Simon's mind behind our backs. The thought that she had been making my son feel less important, making him think he was somehow less than his cousins, was absolutely heartbreaking. Simon had never told us any of this before, and I was left wondering what other things she might have said to him when we weren't around. Up until that moment, I had always tried to treat my mother-in-law with respect, even when things were difficult. But this was different. My feelings boiled over, and without hesitation, I marched straight up to her. Right there, In front of everyone at the party, I looked her in the eye and asked, my voice trembling but fierce, if she had been emotionally and verbally hurting Simon behind our backs. She looked shocked and seemed at a loss for words, stumbling as she tried to answer. When my husband saw the tension and heard my voice, he quickly came over to me and asked what was going on. Everyone at the party was staring, their attention fully on us now. I took a deep breath and told everyone exactly what Simon had shared with me, how his grandma had been telling him he was not really part of the family and that he should always wait until the real family had what they wanted first. The room went silent, and I could see the shock on many faces. Ben turned to his mother and asked her directly if what I had said was true, if she had really been speaking to Simon like that. Instead of apologizing or calming things down, my mother-in-law started arguing. She said she wasn't saying anything different from what others were thinking. She claimed she was just teaching Simon what she called proper etiquette. Then, she went even further and said that since Simon wasn't her real grandchild, it was natural for her to favor her biological grandchildren over him. She added that this wasn't a crime or something wrong. My husband's brother and my husband couldn't hold back their anger any longer. They both began loudly shouting at my mother-in-law, telling her how disgusting and wrong it was for her to treat an innocent child that way. They made it very clear that her behavior was unacceptable and hurtful beyond belief. I then called Simon over, right there in front of everyone. I knelt down to his level, looked him in the eyes, and made sure he understood something very important: he was not less than any of his cousins. He was my child, and he was just as loved and valued as every other child in our family. I told him that nothing his grandma said or did could ever change that. Then, with a heavy heart, I told Simon that from this day forward, he didn't have a grandma anymore, that she was dead to us for the rest of our lives because of how she had treated him. My mother-in-law gasped in shock, clearly taken aback by our words and our decision. My husband and I stood together, united and strong, and we left the party. Since that incident, we have been overwhelmed with support from all of our family and friends. Everyone has stood by us and made it clear that they do not agree with my mother-in-law's attitude or behavior. My husband's family has come together to show their love for Simon, making sure he knows he is just as much a part of the family as any of the other kids. It's been very comforting to see how much they care about him and accept him wholeheartedly. Simon will continue to have a close and loving relationship with all of his cousins. They enjoy spending time together, and it's important to us that those bonds stay strong. However, the three of us, Simon, my husband, and I, have decided that we will no longer maintain any kind of relationship with my mother-in-law. Her hurtful views and actions have made it clear that she does not respect or value Simon as a true member of our family, and we need to protect him from that negativity. From now on, I am going to fiercely protect my son and make sure that no one ever tries to confuse or hurt him with cruel words or ideas again. Trusting my mother-in-law was a mistake, and although it was painful to realize, my husband and I have learned from it. We will never allow something like this to happen again. Our priority is Simon's happiness, safety, and well-being, and we will do everything in our power to keep him feeling loved and secure. To help Simon heal and grow stronger, my husband and I are also making sure he sees a therapist regularly. This way, he has a safe space where he can talk openly about his feelings and experiences. We want to help him build his self-esteem and confidence so he can fully understand just how special and important he truly is. Update 4. It's been 2 months since my last update and something has happened that has shaken me to my core. This week, when it was time to pick up Simon from school, I arrived only to find out that Simon was nowhere to be found. My heart started pounding with worry and fear. I asked the teacher where Simon was, and she told me that his grandmother had come to pick him up that day. I was stunned. I knew I hadn't given permission for anyone else to take him. Immediately, I called my own mother to check if she had been the one to pick Simon up, but she said she had not gone to the school at all. That's when it hit me: it must have been my mother-in-law. The thing is, my husband and I have cut her off all this while. We no longer talk to her. So, why was she here to pick up my son without my permission? I called her right away, and to my shock, she answered calmly that she had picked up Simon. When I asked why she would do that, she claimed she wanted to talk to us. She said she knew the only way she could reach us was through Simon. Since we had blocked her, she decided to pick up Simon. I was so pissed when I heard this. Mill then went on to ask me to come over to her place so we could talk and make things right between us. I was furious beyond belief. The fact that she had used my own child to try and get to me was something I never expected. It felt like a betrayal, and I couldn't believe she was willing to put Simon in the middle of this just to manipulate us. As soon as I got off the phone with my mother-in-law, I immediately called my husband. I was shaking with anger and fear, and he was just as furious as I was. The thought that his own mother had gone behind our backs and basically kidnapped our son was something neither of us could accept. Without wasting any time, my husband called his mother right away. She repeated the same request, asking us to come over so we could talk and try to fix this drama. My husband and I talked it over quickly and decided that we needed to face this together. He told me firmly that he wouldn't let me deal with her alone. We were a team, and we would protect Simon and each other. So, we both agreed to go to my mother-in-law's house together and confront her about what she had done. When we reached her place, Mill opened the door like nothing had happened, wearing that same smug, detached look she always had when she thought she was right. Simon was inside, sitting on her couch, watching TV. He looked confused but not scared. As soon as he saw us, he stood up. I could tell he was relieved. I knelt down and hugged him tightly, brushing his hair back, and asked him if he was okay. He nodded and told me that he was really surprised that Mill had picked him up from school that day. I told him to keep watching TV, so that my husband and I could talk to Mill privately. As soon as we were out of his earshot, my husband started to yell at his mother. "What were you thinking?" he asked, his voice low and shaking with anger. "You took our son from school without our permission. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? How terrifying it was for my wife to show up and not find him there?" Mill had the nerve to shrug. "I just wanted to talk," she said, waving her hand like it was no big deal. "You two have been ignoring me. I thought if I had Simon, maybe you'd finally listen to me. You took him," I snapped, standing up now, my voice rising. "You didn't just talk to him. You picked him up like you had any right to, like he was yours to use. You didn't call. You didn't ask. You just acted like this was still your decision to make. It's not." She crossed her arms, clearly annoyed. "You're blowing this out of proportion. He's my grandson. I wasn't going to hurt him. I just wanted to talk." My husband stepped in front of me. His voice was cold now, calm in the most dangerous kind of way. "You don't get to use that word anymore. Grandson. You gave that up the day you decided he wasn't really family to you. You don't get to want a relationship after everything you said and did. And then, to take him from school? That's not just crossing a line, that's a crime." Mill looked taken aback, but still didn't apologize. "I just didn't know how else to reach you. I made a mistake, all right? But you can't expect me to change overnight. I come from a different time." My husband shook his head. "No. This isn't about time or tradition. This is about right and wrong. You treated our son like he was less than. You made him feel small, like he had to earn love, like he didn't belong. And now, you might have scared him by showing up unannounced and dragging him here without our permission." I turned to her and said, "Simon is a little boy who's been through more pain than you could possibly imagine. He knows we don't talk to you anymore because of the way you had talked to him in the past, but today you just showed up and took him. What you've done could have set back everything we've worked so hard to rebuild in him." Mill kept arguing, without a shred of apology or remorse. It was clear she didn't care how her actions affected anyone else. My husband made it very, very clear to his mother that we didn't want a relationship with her whatsoever and that she can never come near Simon, without our permission ever again. I also threatened to call the police on her, if she ever pulled such a stunt. Me started arguing that she was family and that we were just piling onto her for no reason. After that horrifying incident, my husband and I immediately scheduled a meeting with Simon's school. We sat down with his teacher, the school principal, and the front office staff, and we made it crystal clear that no one, absolutely no one, besides me, my husband, or my parents is ever allowed to pick Simon up. We gave them a printed list with names, photos, and phone numbers. We made sure they understood the seriousness of the situation. The school staff were very understanding. They apologized for releasing Simon to Mill and reassured us that going forward, they would follow strict pickup protocols.